Rodeo, for anyone who was that was the Giga Factory Austin opening party, and it felt kind of like a carnival or a state fair atmosphere combined with like a museum grand opening. The factory itself is enormous. It's almost a mile long. It's like 3,900 feet long. About to me, this seems super advanced. It was like just a whole bunch of robots, like in giant robots and transformer type robots. It was just insane, and they're all like moving in demo mode, sort of, and you just could tell this thing could really ramp up. So many of the Tesla employees watch the YouTube content about Tesla to get a better understanding of the big picture. But what about the macro market?
There's been a lot of kind of mixed macro signals, I would say. The 10-year, 2-year Treasury inversion, the biggest thing being like the 3-month essentially follows the FOMC rate increases since it's so short term. Supply chain issues with Shanghai Shutdown. I'm still not convinced that, it's going to be a recession necessarily, but I do think there's maybe reason to pause.
I've been thinking like we're kind of maybe trading somewhat sideways. Volatility will remain. The thing I think that people are not expecting is the China shutdowns. There's so much production coming from there. Like for that to be shut down for over a month, that's massive. That's like huge supply chain disruption. That was not the case. I think we'd be recovering from the initial inflationary shock.
It just is going to take a long time, I think, for all these, negative headwinds to really make their way through the economy.
This earnings report coming up on April 20th, it'll be a good marker for like how much more revenue Tesla can produce. But on the other hand, it's going to be the guidance for the quarter is going to be disappointing. Tesla Giga Shanghai is like, more than half of all Tesla production and margins. It's like shut down.
Yeah. The good news is that we've got Berlin and Austin ramping up right now, but those are going to be pretty terrible margins to begin with. So, I mean, we could very well have a massive gross margin hit in Q2 if this drags on. I mean, I could imagine the stock takes a somewhat decent hit the next, quarter or two. That may be a good opportunity, a good buying opportunity as well. So
on one hand, if you're so like, I'm so personally invested in Tesla, I'm like, man, there's going to be such a big opportunity for the second half of the year. If it dips, I should get ready for it and maybe sell some of my Tesla stock and put it in cash. I could buy a ton of like medium term options once it dips 25% from where it is now or something. But on the other hand, if I sell stock right now, not only is there tax consequences for lots of us who've owned it for a while, but the stock might not dip much more. Maybe it's all priced in. You just sold and it's going to come back up to like 1,000 plus and stay above 1,000 again for a while. So it's a dilemma. If I already had dry powder on the sidelines, I'd just keep it and wait. What do you think about Elon and Twitter?
My sense is he's taking a little bit more of a hostile approach because playing nice is not going to get the results around free speech that are super important to him.
It's probably out of control. Like the amount of like wokeism that has been built up into departments at Twitter. Some of these people are, in senior positions. I think he sees this Twitter as, the new age town square, and the free speech is a real threat. If you're just kind of experimenting with them, it's best to really fully understand what the profit and loss could be of the option, the performance profile. It's maybe just 10% of my play money, put it in a separate pool of money and experiment with some options. So the most I could lose is that 10% of that play money.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very slow rollout, but I think they're probably going to intentionally limit production a little bit or just price it so high.
I think it's going to be slower, much slower than Shanghai. Even though Texas is a much freer state than California, there's still lots of regulations and permits and all this stuff that just is a lot slower than China. And
you can kind of prevent some human health issues if you're having bots do that sort of thing. And that working in a hostile environment like that would be great training for Mars. So
it's a possibility. We don't think it's probable, but it's certainly possible.